Broadcasting live 4 days a week worldwide
from the sunny beaches of Southern California.
This is ExtremeHealthRadio.com.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Extreme Health Radio. This is Tristan Truscott, co-creator of the Good Morning, Good Evening Qigong with my dear friend and partner, Peter Ragnar. And it's awesome to be on the show with everybody.
Want an energy boost? Try Pure Hawaiian Spirulina today and feel the difference. Save 25% off your Spirulina order today using the coupon code JUSTIN, JUSTIN, at extremehealthradio.com/Nutrex. That's NUTREX. Okay, you tried your hand at the old host job on Free For All Friday show, didn't you?
I sure did.
How was it?
It was great.
Was it fun?
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah?
I give you a lot of credit for what you do every day in, day out. My problem is it's very hard for me to remember to give people directions about what to do.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So you're really good at informing people, I have to say.
Well, I do my best.
You're good.
I try my hardest here.
Yeah, it gave me a lot of appreciation, even more for you.
Oh, well, thank you.
You run a good show over there.
I appreciate that. I'm only about 3 feet away from you, but
it's still over there.
That's right. That's right. Well, this is going to be a great show. We're really excited about having Bill Hencke on, and we're going to be talking about Pranic Healing, his website, pranamedics.com, as well as there's another one called pranichealing.com that we just shared in the chat room. So that'll be really fun to talk with him. We'll introduce him in just a moment. This is episode 273. Is that right?
Sure is.
It is, right? And I believe this is Monday, June 30th, 2014?
That's right, too.
Wow. I am on it today. I can actually remember the dates.
If you drink coffee, it might help.
I know, right? Bulletproof coffee.
Right.
I should have that. Have you ever had that?
I haven't, actually.
With the MCT oil and the...
No. I've heard about it.
The butter or something like that?
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
We broadcast live 4 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific. So if you'd like to join the live show, we are live, available for you guys. We have a chat room and interact with the guests, ask your questions, and just join us for a little party, if you like.
It's always a party in the chat room.
It's always a party in the chat room. So please join us, extremehealthradio.com/live, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific. And you can join that way. And if you guys would like to support the show, you can always do that on Amazon. If you buy all of your products through our Amazon link, that would be a really great way to support our show. So we would really appreciate that. And don't forget to visit our sponsor, extremehealthradio.com/Nutrex. Really great astaxanthins and spirulina products. You can check out that and learn more.
I'm becoming a big fan of spirulina.
I know. It's so amazing.
I wasn't open to it for a while. It just kind of weirded me out. And I have to say, I'm really loving it.
Yeah, it's amazing stuff. I think it's like 60% protein or something crazy.
I think that's right, huh?
Yeah,
real high up there.
It's got incredible minerals and vitamins and enzymes, all kinds of good stuff. So anyway, we're going to be talking with Bill Hencke about Pranic Healing, and we're really excited. His website is pranamedics.com, and he's joining us today from, I believe, Southern California. But Bill, are you in Chino or Huntington Beach?
Actually, I'm located in Huntington Beach. The office in Chino is the United States Pranic Healing Center. So that's, I consider their galactic headquarters in the United States is in the city of Chino. Very local to those of us living in Southern California. And so a lot of activities and events are held in our location. But I'm living and working out of Huntington Beach.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I saw the other website, and I saw there's one, pranichealing.com. That must be the one that's for the headquarters there. And then your website is pranamedics.com. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
That's awesome. And so I was reading a little bit about your story and how you got involved with all of this, and it's quite an interesting story. How long ago was that you got involved with Pranic Healing?
I actually took my first class in 2003. This year is 11 years ago now that I first started off in Pranic Healing. And I can always remember that because my daughter is coming up on her 11th birthday, and she is the reason why I started. It was the difficult pregnancy when she was on her way in that helped push me into a pranic healing class. So 11 years now, and let me just tell you that the way my life is going right now, I never would have imagined. If you would have asked me 12 years ago, what's your life going to look like, I would have never said it was going to look like this.
Oh, my goodness.
Not my wildest dreams.
Yeah, golly, you never... So I was reading on your story that you caught a little bit of flack when you first started from your other paramedic people that you used to work with.
Well, you can imagine the good-natured hazing and ribbing that goes on in the fire department. I wouldn't have expected anything less. It was most of it was very good-natured. Obviously, waving my hands and circling my hands and making neck pain and back pain go away. Obviously, looked very crazy to the firemen, and I don't blame them one bit. It looked crazy to me too the first time I saw it, and I was highly skeptical. But once you try it and you realize, wow, pain went away, swelling went down, discoloration and range of motion returned to normal, you got to say, okay, there's something going on here, and I might not understand it, and I might not know exactly what happened, but I can witness the result, and it's working.
It's amazing. You picked some pretty good timing there, because I think that was right around the time that the Star Wars trilogies were coming out again, so it was a good time. It's like you're using the Force, You
know what? It's funny that you make that analogy. That's exactly what it feels like, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan since I was a kid. And I always wished I could be a Jedi when I grew up, and I had the greatest admiration for being able to move things without touching them. And I would read stories, and obviously there are people with certain powers and abilities where they could do these fantastic things. I was not one of those people. I was never one of those people that could do any of that. And so when I got into pranic healing, and they didn't make any of those references in pranic healing, but I started watching things happening. I said, you know what? There is a force there that's working, and then as I rewatched the Star Wars movies, and I listened to Yoda speaking, but now with pranic healing training, I realized he's giving some very, very high-level wisdom as far as the all-pervasive life energy that is all around us. And I thought, wow, go figure. They were giving us these secrets years ago. But it took me a shift in mindset to catch on.
Isn't that wild?
It is a lot like using the Force. And however, it's an extremely scientific method. That scientific method is what allows me to really wrap my brain around what's happening when we're doing pranic healing.
I want to get into your story and how you got involved with it. But for those that don't know, and I am one of them actually, what is pranic healing? What is it?
So pranic healing is an ancient art and science of energy healing where we're using life energy. It's divine presence. In prana is a Sanskrit word for life energy. In the East, they would call it chi or ki, and in the West, we would call it Holy Spirit. It's the divine presence that's all around us, and what we're using is, through invocation, we're using our aura, our field of energy, to invoke for these blessings and then channel and send those to the aura of the person that we're working on. And the principle of it is that your physical body is surrounded by a field of energy, and scientists can photograph that energy field, and they can measure that energy field, so it's easy to see that there is a field of energy around the body. But in pranic healing, we recognize that any illness, injury, or disease that you could possibly have in your physical body shows up first in your aura. Somewhere there's a blockage or there's a problem in your energy field that manifests in your physical body. And if we can invoke for blessings and clean that aura and clean your energy channels, then your physical body knows what to do, and it can heal itself. So what we're doing is we're empowering your own body to heal itself just by removing some energetic blockages.
That's amazing. So we had a guest on a while back, actually a long time ago now, Dr. Bob Marshall, and he talks a lot about the, he calls it the plasma energy field that surrounds the body, and he talks about how anything, exactly almost what you just said, that there's a biophotonic communication between everybody's biofield, or this plasma energy field as he calls it, and their body. And when our body can't communicate to this energy field, then that's when diseases starts happening in the body. And he references the work of Fritz Albert Popp and all these different German scientists and all these people who have studied this stuff. But it sounds like exactly the same kind of thing you're talking about.
I think there are so many simultaneous truths that are being discovered right now, and pranic healing is one of those. There are a lot of other alternative healing modalities, and I think there's a lot of effectiveness in a lot of them. I feel blessed and fortunate that I was directed into pranic healing. Out of all the different healing techniques, it seems like they are just so scientific in their systematic approach, and a big focus is on the healer hygiene, where as I'm doing healings, I am able to keep my energy fields clean, as opposed to different hands-on healing or therapeutic touches, for example. Those are effective, but may not stress the emphasis on remaining clean as a healer, so that you don't take on the energies of the people you're working on. But there are many, many different, and I'm happy to say many researchers that are actually looking at this as a valid healing technique or similar techniques, because in my field of work, where I work full-time as a paramedic, I'm seeing a lot of limitations of our medicine, and not just our medicine, but our healthcare system in general. And I think there's something better we can do for people who really need help.
So, Bill, that's so interesting and fascinating. How does that look for you to be able to keep yourself kind of shielded from that energy?
Well, there's several different factors. One of the main factors is that in pranic healing, there is no physical contact with the person we're working on. There's no touch, so that minimizes the amount of negative energy transference. Also, as we're doing the healing, we're sweeping with our hands at a distance, but then I also have a spray with an astringent and certain essential oils, where I'll spray my hands while I'm doing the healing, and that keeps my aura clean.
Wow.
And as far as disposing the negative energies, for example, a lot of people who can do laying on of hands or who can heal people, they may take those energies onto their own aura. In pranic healing, we always use a bowl of salt water as our trash can for negative energy. And so after sweeping, we'll throw the negative energies into the salt water, and that provides a safe place for those to be disintegrated. After that, almost daily now, I make sure that I take a salt shower or a salt bath so that my own aura remains purified. So all the different healing work that I do doesn't accumulate as negative energies on my own aura. And these are things I never would have, I never would have discovered or thought of, except for the teachers in pranic healing that I've had, and their generosity in these blessings has really helped me to find a way to keep my own energies clean and to be able to serve others.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big deal, isn't it, to be able to keep your own energy field clean? We've heard that over time, that the salt is a good thing for that. What is the salt doing? Because we like to jump in the water. I think we're only actually about a half hour away from you, so we live near the coast, and we like to jump in the salt water. What is the salt water doing when you jump into it, or if you take a salt bath or something?
As far as I understand, the chloride ions in the salt is what actually disintegrates the negative energies. And so I don't know, the exact, the exact chemistry behind it, but I do know a lot of my friends go surf. Everyone loves to go surfing, and even guys who can't really put their finger on it say, boy, I feel so good when I go surfing. And I think, well, wow, you're going out in the ocean and your whole body is submerged in the salt water. It's very interesting that even without putting a definite finger on it, they can say, yeah, I really feel good when I go surfing and get in the ocean water.
Yeah, something to do with maybe the negative ions or something. I don't know. There's some, maybe there's some sort of electrical charge or something that's going on with the salt water.
I'm certain there is. I'm certain it has to do some way where through some scientific method, the electronic charges are drawing those energies off your aura. But it's definitely, I don't have time to take a bath very often, but even with a simple cup of salt in the shower, after I wash off, I can take handfuls of salt and just scrub it all over and then rinse it off. And it feels a lot different. I recommend for anybody to just give it a try and see how you feel. And that's the best validation for yourself, is just when you see how good you feel after a little rub down with salt, it's something you want to get into a routine at least once a week, I think.
Yeah, I mean, salt baths have been around for centuries. People have been
salt scrubs.
Yeah, women like that. So there's something to that. Is there any difference between? We've heard, all these different types of energetic healing practices, like reiki and quantum touch and things like that. Do you know anything about those and how pranic healing might be different from those?
Well, I know a little bit about reiki, And I understand that in Reiki healing, there's certain symbols that are used in order to access divine energy. And I'm not sure if Reiki involves actually disposing of the energies in a spot, but there are a lot of similarities. I understand the word Reiki in Japanese means life energy or soul energy. And so I think there's probably more similarities than there are differences. There's absolutely the removal of negative energies and then the sending of positive energies to help stimulate the healing process. And I think in a lot of these different healing techniques, there's a similar mechanics that go to it. One major difference in pranic healing, as I understand it, is that there's a very high emphasis on cleansing. In pranic healing, it's not so much can I put fresh energy, can I transmit healing energy. It's more of can I just invoke for blessings and cleanse whatever blockages are there. And I find a lot of times when you do cleansing, a person has a very rapid healing rate. We're removing those blockages. It's like taking the wreck off of the freeway and letting traffic flow through. It's really allowing that energies to flow more freely and accelerate your own healing rate. After that, if there's a little bit of energizing done, it can help. But in pranic healing, cleansing is absolutely the emphasis.
So what would, if someone were being or wanting to be a pranic healer and they were doing some healing with people and they weren't focused on doing the cleansing, like let's say they were just starting out their career and they didn't really understand that concept too well, what would they be doing instead of the cleansing by mistake perhaps, and then how would that negatively affect the ability for the person to heal quickly?
Well, as in our class, from day one, they emphasize cleansing. But, okay, let's take your example. Say like somebody didn't have a formal pranic healing class. Maybe somebody got the book and read about how to do it and said, okay, I can do this without having a teacher that emphasizes that. If you energize and project life energy into a spot that's already congested, it's like adding more of a crowd to something that's already too crowded. It's like putting more traffic on a freeway that has already slowed down to a standstill because it's just too much energy accumulates. For example, if you have an injury on your body, that swelling is your body's tissues trying to repair that spot. Energetically, it's the same thing. Your aura becomes congested because your energies are accumulating in one spot trying to accomplish healing. If you energize that, it can create greater congestion. It can manifest as discomfort or pain. It could slow the healing process because you haven't really removed the blockages. And even in healing, they do teach us that if you overcongest an area, it's okay. A person may have pain, they may have discomfort, but you immediately need to switch to sweeping and start cleaning off that area and cleaning off energies. That's the fix. If we do notice that an area is becoming overcongested, or if a person becomes dizzy or experiences some discomfort from over-energizing, we immediately begin sweeping, and they teach us that it is impossible to over-cleanse any part of the aura. You can cleanse all day long if you wanted to. You're not going to cause any problems. However, if you energize, after a certain amount of time energizing, you could cause a complication by creating congestion. And that's really the only problem that we would experience.
That makes sense. So what does sweeping actually look like, if you can explain it so people can understand like what they're, what this all looks like, the process?
Yes, absolutely. And I like to describe it because, if you're watching it happen, it looks like, wow, what are they doing? That person is crazy. Why are they moving their arms like that? It's actually very simple. There's two types of sweeping in pranic healing. There's generalized sweeping, which means cleaning the entire aura, the outer aura, and pretty much the entire length of the physical body. And then there's localized sweeping, where we'll just perform motions and circular motions with our hand to clean one specific energy center or chakra or one part of the body. So in generalized sweeping, we would take a person who's either sitting in a chair or standing and imagine 5 vertical channels down the entire length of the body. I would take my hands together with my fingers together, and in my mind I'm just praying for blessings, and I'm thinking cleansing, sweeping, and I'm passing my hands in a vertical channel, first of all, right down the midline of the body. And I may be standing 6 to 10 feet away from a person while I'm doing this. So you don't have to be right up against somebody, and for sure you don't need to make any physical contact.
Wow.
After doing one channel down the midline, then I would separate my hands a little bit and sweep down about equal with the level of the eyeballs. So about down the eyes would be the second vertical channel. Then I would space out a little further, go to the ears, and sweep one vertical pass equal to the position of the ears. Then the fourth vertical pass would be even with the shoulders, about mid-shoulders. And then the fifth vertical sweep would be around the entire silhouette, the outer silhouette of the body, so about going around the arms, down the legs. And once you've done those 5 different sweepings, then you can do another pass with your fingers separated. And what that does is that straightens the health rays. They teach us that all the pores of the body have little filaments of light that are emitting perpendicular to our body. And over the years, those rays of light begin to sag or droop or become entangled. By sweeping the health rays, we're straightening those rays again so that your health aura can flow freely and brightly, and that also increases your life energy.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna have to get into that a little bit more after the break. That was really fascinating. So
okay, and that's great. And what I like is, for example, I happen to be Catholic. It doesn't matter what your religious preference is in this healing technique. It works for anybody's spiritual practice. But in the Catholic Church, we have a lot of images of Mother Mary, the Virgin Mary, and she has this golden aura with all these beams of light shining around her body. And I was like, when I first noticed that, I said, wow, they've been showing us this for years.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow, that is fascinating.
I never thought about that. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, all the symbolism.
It's all right there, isn't it? Wow.
It really is. It really is. So in Pranic Healing, they teach you the actual mechanics behind that. Now, in localized sweeping, what we'll do is after you sensitize your hands, and this took me a while to develop, by the way. When I first started doing Pranic Healing, I couldn't feel anything in my hands, and I was just following the instructions, and I was experiencing great healing outcomes even without being sensitive. Now, after a while, I could start feeling the energy in my hands, and I would get these little sensations like a gentle pressure or temperature changes or little pulsations in my palms. So as I'm sweeping my palms near a person's body, eventually I'll get a spot where I feel some discomfort in my hand. And I'll say, okay, there's something going on right there. I don't know what that energy is, and I really don't need to know. I just know there's something there, and we need to clean that off. And so according to electrical engineering, there's a principle called the right-hand rule. And the right-hand rule simply means that if you want an energy current to flow one direction, then the electromagnetic field will flow in a certain direction according to the fingers on your right hand. So in doing healing on somebody, the cleansing is going to be a counterclockwise motion. So if there was a clock on the person's body, I would sweep my hand in a counterclockwise motion, and I just form the intention that energy center, or that chakra, is turning in a counterclockwise direction, and then I begin to feel energies accumulate on my hand. I throw those energies into the bowl of salt water, and then I scan again, and I usually feel like, okay, now there's less congestion on that spot. I'll do a little bit more sweeping, and then I'll spray my hands and do a little more sweeping, and eventually I can feel where there's no energetic congestion on that chakra any longer. And that's localized sweeping. That's going to be one specific spot in the body where we're going to clean up the energies that are on that spot.
Ooh, this is good. I've got 1,000 questions, but we have to take a break. This is really fascinating stuff. We're with Bill Hencke from pranamedics.com, pranamedics.com, and this is episode 273. So we're going to take a little bit of a break here, and we'll be right back right after this. I have to say, I have been absolutely loving this product by Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar called Good Morning, Good Evening Qigong. If you want to listen to the interview we did with Tristan, you can go to extremehealthradio.com/127. And Qigong is a great way to de-stress the body. And as you know, there's a huge component to disease caused by stress. And stress is a huge factor in how we live our lives and the amount of energy we have and the amount of vitality we have. And so, Dr. Shade, what do you think about Qigong?
People come to me and they're really sick and they got this blown out neurological system and all this toxicity. And I tell them, you need to do Qigong, Tai Chi. You need to do these things that settle down and restore your neurology, because it puts together all the parts. It puts you back into that state where you can start to detoxify. And so I highly, highly recommend all that.
And what about you, Kit Campbell? What do you think about Qigong? Do you like it as well?
Qigong is amazing. And the reason that I believe it to be amazing is everything here is energy. That is a scientific fact, if there ever is one. So when you're practicing Qigong, you're actually drawing energy into your body. Your intention, whatever your intention is behind any action, will determine the level of energy, type of energy that you absorb into your body. So your intention behind is very important, just like thought. So when you're practicing Qigong, you're actually bringing energy in and you're bringing out the stuff that might be a bit stale. With Tai Chi, it's totally different. The energy runs underneath the skin because it's more of a martial. This is the Chinese understanding, by the way. It's more of a martial art. So Qigong is very, very good for bringing that energy into the body, and just fantastic.
If you're interested in picking up this Qigong course by Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar, go to extremehealthradio.com/Qigong. That's QIGONG. And you can learn more about it. There's a great video on that page, and you can learn more about it on that page. And I highly, highly recommend this product. I love it myself, so go ahead and check that out. extremehealthradio.com/Qigong. Sometimes busy lifestyles and easy access to processed foods prevent us from getting all the nutrition we need to maintain our well-being. If you are in need of an energy and immune system boost, you have to try Hawaiian Spirulina. Hawaiian Spirulina is a caffeine-free way to boost your energy levels without the later energy crash. Pure Hawaiian Spirulina Pacifica is an easy way to support your health and is the most nutritious whole food supplement known to mankind. Cultivated on the pristine Kona coast in Hawaii, this superfood is packed with over 100 nutrients in each serving to support your natural energy levels and boost your immunity. Try Hawaiian Spirulina today and feel the difference. Save 25% off your Spirulina order today by using the coupon code JUSTIN at extremehealthradio.com/Nutrex, Nutrex. That's extremehealthradio.com/Nutrex.
100% listener supported. Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Don't forget to join our thriving community for health tips, inspiration, and show updates at extremehealthradio.com/Facebook.
Hey guys, I just want to let you guys know about those two products, the Qigong and the Nutrex Spirulina. Kate and I just love that stuff. It's the Spirulina and the astaxanthin. And on our page, Nutrex, extremehealthradio.com/Nutrex, you can learn all about it. There's a couple tabs there, a bunch of videos. You can learn all about how they process it, how they make it, what it does for you, and all the benefits of astaxanthin and Spirulina. It's just incredible stuff. Good stuff.
As your mom calls it, Astaxanthin.
Astaxanthin.
She cannot say astaxanthin to save her life.
She can't.
Astaxanthin.
And she says marijuana.
That's right. Tia Joanna.
Tia Joanna.
Oh, your mom.
Oh my goodness. It's that Kiwi in her. She just can't pronounce things correctly.
I know. At least that's what we blame it on, right?
I hope you guys are enjoying the show. It's episode 273 with Bill Hencke with pranamedics.com. And if you guys would like to join us, we are broadcasting live 4 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So you can join the chat room and join us on that particular page, extremehealthradio.com/live. And so, Bill, I wanted to, there's a bunch of different directions I'd like to go, but I have to ask you about your story, because on your website, I was just telling Kate during the break that on your website you talked about how you got into this, and we never really kind of delved into that a little bit, but you got into it because your wife was having some complications with pregnancy on you guys' second kid. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And it was really nothing that medicine could explain. I mean, my wife was retaining fluids. Her entire body was swelling up and becoming painful. And, you know, as a paramedic, I would see those symptoms and think, well, she's preeclamptic or experiencing pregnancy-induced hypertension. Mm-hmm. So we went to the doctor, and everything they can look at to diagnose that showed up negative. Mm-hmm. No high blood pressure, no proteins in her urine, nothing explained why she was swelling or in pain. And so with that, there was really nothing they could do. They didn't offer any kind of treatment, and all I knew is she was 4 months along, and she was in pain 24/7, and that was not fun. Not fun for her, not fun for me.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yes, it was very, very difficult, and we had 5 months to go in our pregnancy. So that's when I thought, what about that pranic healing? And just so you know, I learned about pranic healing about a year prior to that. And when I first learned about it, I said, that wouldn't work. That is total quackery. There is no possible way that would work. I saw a lady demonstrate pranic healing in a class that I was in, and she's waving her hands and making neck pain and back pain go away. And I said, there is no possible way that would work. So up to that point, my view of pranic healing was highly skeptical. But the lady that was demonstrating it that one time said, anybody can learn how to do it. It's a simple process that anybody can learn. And so I said, well, I won't be learning how to do it because it doesn't work. With my wife in a difficult pregnancy that doctors couldn't offer any help for, I started thinking, what about that weird pranic healing thing? And I Google searched pranic healing, and it brought up the website for the Pranic Healing Center. And when I looked on their website, they were offering a class, and I said, you know what, I'm out of options. I'm going to go take the 2-day class and see what happens. And it's a simple class offered over a weekend. Usually it's 2 8-hour days where they teach you how to feel the energy. They teach you about the energetic anatomy. And I got to be honest with you, after that class, I had no idea what I was doing. I couldn't feel the energy, but they taught us how to do sweeping, how to do cleansing, and how to do basic energizing. And when I did that for my wife, she started feeling better. Her pain started going away, and I thought, well, that's kind of cool. I mean, it's good that she's feeling better. And then with, a lot of people in my wife's family had other medical problems, so they all wanted to try it out, and it was working for them too. They felt better. All their pains were going away. A lot of their symptoms were resolving, and it was a process for me. It was a slow process where I started watching outcomes that proved the effectiveness of pranic healing despite my sensitivity or not.
Isn't that wild? So did they start feeling better immediately, or did it take time?
A lot of people felt better immediately. For a lot of people, there was immediate improvement. But for some people, it does take time. And, common sense just stands to reason that if you've had a long-term problem, it may not go away immediately, that your energy body, as it becomes cleaner and cleaner, you will have a better healing outcome. So for some people, it took a few sessions, and for some people, it took a little bit longer to experience that. But what surprised me was how many people, for example, couldn't lift their arm up over, past the, parallel to the ground. How many people had like a frozen shoulder or a backache where they couldn't bend over and touch their toes? And I'll invoke for blessings, and I'll start doing some very simple sweeping, and after 5 minutes they can bend over and touch their toes or raise their arm over their head. And I'm saying, okay, well, either you're playing with me and you couldn't, or there's something really happening here. And people are like, no way, I couldn't lift my arm up earlier, now I can raise it all the way over my head with no discomfort. And I just said, wow, this is amazing. This is immediate healing, for some people, and there's a lot of different factors involved. But if a person's energy is cleaned up and their body's healthy and it can heal itself quickly, then they can experience, in some cases, greatly accelerated, almost instantaneous healing.
Bill, I just have a quick question. Does that take away for you personally some of the skepticism too involving those, TV shows where they have a bunch of people, come and get the mass healings and things where, the world kind of looks at it like it's just a crazy fake stage of fake healing? Do you think there's some validity to what's going on there too? You know what?
It's forced me to switch my mindset a little bit. I will admit I'm one of those people that will watch that on TV and, be healed. And watch the guy hit someone on their forehead and say, that's baloney, no way. But now they teach us how, you can actually activate somebody's forehead chakra if you have enough energy, and you can, cause somebody to faint by doing that. And I say, wow, maybe they're doing that. Maybe they are generating so much energy that they can create contact and overwhelm somebody, or they can, people have a certain amount of receptivity. It forces me, sometimes I look at it, and sometimes I'm going to be honest with you, sometimes I'm still skeptical of what I'm seeing, But it forces me to say, you know what, there might be some validity to that.
And maybe the people that are performing that they don't even know what they're doing in terms of pranic healing. They just, are going about doing the healing the way they've been taught or whatever. But they, even if they don't know what they're doing, perhaps there's something else going on too, that there could be something to that. I don't know.
There absolutely is. And it's funny that you mentioned it that way, because that's kind of how these teachings became systematized. There are people in the world with natural healing ability. There are natural-born healers. And so these faith healers on TV, they can do healings. But if you say, how did you do that? They can't tell you how they did that. They just said, oh, well, I just, whatever. I touched them and they got better. But what Master Chua Kok Sui, the founder of Pranic Healing, did was he took those natural-born healers, and then he took clairvoyants who could see energy, and he put them to work with each other to where the clairvoyant could say, okay, the energy is moving into it's moving into their body through there, and then it comes out through there, and then they're doing, he could watch the flow of energy, so that somebody with no ability like myself could say, all right, I can, through certain meditation practice and certain visualization and, forming an intention, I can move energy through my body the same way, and now I can duplicate a healing outcome from what that natural-born healer was doing. You can just follow their same method, and you can duplicate a healing outcome. And that's why pranic healing is such a system, is because you can duplicate results.
Now, can you do it on yourself if you get skilled enough?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, in the very first pranic healing class, level 1, they teach you how to do self-healing. Now, they teach you how to heal others first, because the intention is to first generate good karma by healing others. But then there are very simple techniques to do healing for yourself. And self-healing is for some people, that's why they get into pranic healing, is just to heal themselves of some kind of ailment. But absolutely, in addition to keeping my energies cleaned, when, it's very rare now that I come down with some kind of an illness, but my kids bring stuff home from school all the time. So, we'll pick up on some of that. Usually a simple cold runs its course in about 1 day. I'll just be doing healing techniques on myself and keep my energies clean. And once your energies are clean, your body can heal itself very, very quickly.
That's so amazing. What did you say the name of the guy who founded Pranic Healing? What is his name again?
So his name is Master Chua Kok Sui. He's the founder of Pranic Healing, and he comes from the Philippines. He's traveled the world and shared these teachings around the world. Pranic Healing is now taught in over 100 countries around the world, and thanks to the dedication of his life was to spread these teachings and make them commonplace around the world. So I'm very, very thankful to his generosity in teachings that I can just take a few classes and learn how to do these techniques, what took him decades to research and to put into such a simple method.
So, Bill, these days, so you're using it, obviously. You're still working, and you're using this along, as a complementary therapy, or is that what you're implementing the most these days?
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's funny because, I love my job as a firefighter paramedic. It's all I ever really wanted to be growing up, and the fact that I can do something to earn a living that I really enjoy is a blessing. It's a huge blessing. And so, that's very rewarding to me and a lot of fun. But what happened was, as I was doing healings, just people that I was working on would tell their friends, and their friends were telling their friends, and I'm getting phone calls from all over the place from people that want a healing. And I said, let's do it. Let's do a healing. I love doing healings. We'll meet. You can come to my house. I'll go to your house. And if we can't get together, we'll do it over the phone. And distant healing over the phone, it works. So I'm doing more and more healings, and I'm getting busier and busier, to the point where people are telling me, hey, you better be doing this. You're good at this. You should be doing healings. There's people that need you to be doing healings. And so after getting enough people to smack me upside the head, I ended up getting into an office, and now it's become a side job for me.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
So recently you've done some speaking over at the Living Temple, which we've been to there in Huntington Beach, about the Pranic Healing.
Yes, the Living Temple is a fantastic store. It's located in Huntington Beach. Excuse me, got a little dry mouth here. Let me take some water.
No worries. Yeah, that Living Temple is amazing.
So Bill, when you had the instance to do Pranic Healing, and now that you're doing it, and you're also working as a firefighter, as a paramedic, obviously, I had a friend years ago that got into being a paramedic, and I would hear the stories of the crash scenes that he would see and all the different energetic pictures and violence and things like that. How do you protect yourself the same way with using pranic healing techniques from what you see as a paramedic?
Yes, absolutely, and that's one of the reasons why pranic healing has helped my career immensely. Some of the things that I've experienced, we cope with it and we compensate, but the grief and the trauma and the problems that we see really over the years take their toll. And the first 15 years of my career I spent as a firefighter paramedic with Santa Ana Fire Department. We'd see a lot of difficult calls and just a lot of things that really do, create some mental stress. And really the problem wasn't so much any one call, but it accumulates, seeing people deal with their grief, and especially seeing people like my same age, or younger, children, especially children that are injured or, in serious medical problems, serious injuries. In my mind, I question what's going on. What did this child do to deserve this? And it created so much, accumulated distress, I could say. And in pranic healing, it's not something you learn right away, but as you continue on the courses of pranic healing, if you choose to continue through, they talk more about karma and more about destiny and about your soul's progress and about the experiences that your soul will go through in order to develop. Mm-hmm. And it created in me a certain sense of peace to realize that there is divine perfection in all these situations, that this soul chose to experience this in order to grow, and that all the people involved had to go through their own experience. And it just, in my mind, allowed me to be more accepting to all these things that were happening and realize there is a purpose to that, there is a divine order, and that soul chose to experience that. Even if I don't understand the meaning of it, I recognize that there is certain divine perfection to that.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. We're with Bill Hencke. This is episode 273 with Bill Hencke from pranamedics.com. If you're interested in checking out more about his website, pranamedics.com, episode 273. And it's true, we're all energy, aren't we? All frequency. It's just very fascinating stuff. So we're going to be right back with Bill right after this break. In today's modern world, we're surrounded by magnetic radiation, electric fields, radio waves, microwaves from our cell phones, our laptops, our computers, iPads, and even cell phone towers and power lines. These EMF frequencies damage the blood-brain barrier, they cause sleep problems, they decrease melatonin and disturb our electric bodies. After much research, that's why we recommend a company called Less EMF. Listen to what founder Dr. Emil de Toffel has to say.
The dangers of radiation. Where do you even begin? There's many different kinds of radiation and there's many different kinds of dangers. Modern electronic devices will emit a variety of electromagnetic fields. Electric fields, magnetic fields, radio waves, and microwaves. This type of radiation has been associated with a variety of health effects, including cancers, headaches, sleeplessness, ADD, diabetes, and more. The effects seem to be cumulative, and our exposure seems to be cumulative as we're adding more and more electronic devices in our world and spending more and more time with each one. Radiation levels and the type of radiation from these devices vary, but its impact seems to accumulate in the body. So we do have shielding of a variety of different kinds. We have shielding metals to control magnetic fields, shielding canopies to put over your bed. So if you have an electromagnetic situation, we probably have a solution for it.
Protect yourself and your family today. They've got very affordable products for all of your portable devices, your home, and more. Visit extremehealthradio.com/less EMF. That's LESSEMF. Or check them out in our store to see videos. Again, go to extremehealthradio.com/less EMF.
So I'd been following a guy named Lucas Rockwood for years and years, and he's a yoga instructor and a raw foodist, and we were finally able to get him on our show on episode number 10. So if you want to listen to his interview, it's really good. But he's a really good guy. We're honored and proud to be supporting him and his products at Yoga Body Naturals, and he's got this really cool product called the Yoga Trapeze, and you can check it out at extremehealthradio.com/trapeze, and that's TRAPEZE. It's really cool, like a yoga swing that you can install in your house or in your garage or anywhere. it's really, really cool. It helps to invert the body, and you could do back bends, and it's really, really an amazing thing for elongating your spine and relieving back pain. But the power of inversion is really, really critical. It's really sold and marketed as something that will help your back, but the power of inversion is really, really great. And people like David Wolfe and lots of other people talk about how powerful it is to invert the body for some portion of the day for as often as you can. And it's really cool. It comes with a bunch of videos that teach you how to install it. And it's got a bunch of practice videos too that comes as a bonus. He gives you a 2-month supply of this liquid energy B, which is like $25 normally. And he's got 108 Super Juices ebook that's normally $30, and also a yoga trapeze chart that's normally $20 that he throws in as for free. And you can get them in purple, two-tone purple, or two-tone orange. And the cool thing is that you can try it for just $1 for 30 days. And it's really, really cool thing. If you go to extremehealthradio.com/trapeze, you can learn more about it and watch the videos of him using it and demonstrating why it's so good and all of that stuff. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, elongating the spine and using inversion to help heal your back and to have better posture and all of that, it's really something that you should look into. But before you look into it, listen to our interview with him in episode number 10 and just learn more about him and what his work is all about. And then go to extremehealthradio.com/trapeze if you're interested in getting this thing. And if you get it, let me know. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are about it and how it's benefited you and all that. So thank you for listening. And you can also check it out in our store too. So don't forget to check it out there. Thanks for listening, and let's get back to the interview.
All free shows, all the time, on Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Join our community today. Sign up to our email list and instantly get our free gift to you, along with loads of inspirational content and cutting-edge tips to help change your life at extremehealthradio.com/subscribe.
All right, we're having a great time here with Bill Hencke from pranamedic.com. Is that correct? Pranamedic. Yeah, that's right. Pranamedics, plural. Prana, P-R-A-N-A, and medics.com. Episode 273. And I just want to let all you guys know about our upcoming shows, guys. We have tons of good stuff coming up here. Tomorrow, actually on Wednesday, we have Roland Thomas from bioage.com. And he'll be talking about all kinds of really, really radiation and cleansing from that, as well as we'll be talking about astaxanthin and the products from Nutrex on Thursday. Then on Friday, we have our Free For All Friday show. So lots of stuff happening here on Extreme Health Radio. You can always join us live Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific if you'd like to join the chat room and be a part of it. And Kate, I think you had a question during the break there.
Yeah, Bill, I was wondering, I know you touched a little bit about more of like a over-the-phone distance type healing situation. How does that work?
Yes, that's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, and believe me, that's one of the things in class they taught us that I was really skeptical about. And in class they say, be skeptical about everything. Don't just believe this stuff on blind faith. Take the teachings, try it, and see how it works. Validate it for yourself. So when they talk about distant healing, I thought, okay, well, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to try and keep an open mind and just see what happens. Well, the idea behind invoking for divine blessings is that God is omnipresent, and there is divine presence everywhere. So physical distance makes no difference. Anywhere on the planet, there is God, and there are healing energies. Now, on the scientific side of it, the Earth is one big battery. The Earth conducts energies, and you can see that in the northern lights, when you can see electromagnetic lights in the sky.
Yeah.
And you can see it by a compass, where a compass direction points and shows you there's magnetic currents flowing over the planet. So there is a certain energetic connection that we share with the planet. All of us in humanity are connected to the Earth. So Earth prana, air prana, solar prana, all these energies flow through the Earth and they flow through the air omnipresently. So when I'm working on somebody over the phone, and I do a lot of international healings this way, is all I need is if I know the person's name and if I know what city they're in, I just invoke that our energy bodies be connected in one for the purpose of a healing session, that we are together. And then as I have a chair and I just say, okay, I'm going to form the intention that your energy body is here in this chair. And then as I scan, it's almost as if they were sitting there. I can say, okay, scanning your head, scanning your shoulders, scanning your back. And with my hand, I can feel where the congestions are. And then I just, do the sweeping as if they were sitting right there. And I ask the person I'm working with, just sit comfortably, open your palms, connect your tongue to your palate. And then as I'm doing the healing, a lot of times, it's funny, it blows me away. Some people who are sensitive can say, oh, are you working on my knee right now? Are you working on my shoulder right now? They know exactly where I'm working because they can feel the effect already taking place.
Oh, my gosh.
That's wild. Bill, do you have any experience with people that maybe come see you, and some people might have a level of belief in this kind of work, and some people might have less of a belief? Do you find that makes any kind of difference whatsoever in terms of how quickly or if they can heal at all?
Yes, it certainly does. They teach us the number one important factor in pranic healing is the receptivity of the person we're working on.
Okay.
A person who's more open to it, they're going to probably experience a better outcome right off the bat because their own energies are flowing a little more freely because of that. Now, I will give you this, there's a couple caveats to that. First of all, when I have somebody come up to me that's skeptical, that's fine. I encourage skepticism. I say, that's perfect. Be skeptical. But let's just believe that it might be possible that maybe this could work, possibly, and then have your own experience and see what happens. Now, when people understand it's not like I'm some weird healer. I'm a firefighter. I'm a paramedic. I'm kind of normal. For a lot of people, they build that credibility in me because I'm kind of a normal person to begin with that does something weird, and so I say, okay, we'll give it a shot. And the reason why I want to say that the receptivity isn't always a factor is because one of the guys on my crew 2 years ago, everyone else on my fire crew was open to pranic healing. I did healings for them. They experienced it, but one guy, he wouldn't have it. He wouldn't have any part of it, and he was just so stuck in his scientific mind that he wouldn't even open up to pranic healing. Mm-hmm. And one day we're on a fire, and he burned his finger touching a hot bicycle. It burned him through his glove. And he came up and said, I burned my finger on that fire. And he didn't ask for healing, and he didn't want anything. But really quickly, I said a quick prayer, and I just waved my hand over his hand, and he said, oh, wow. He goes, the pain went away. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, all right, perfect. I'm glad the pain went away. Well, what he didn't tell me at the time was that he had blisters form on his finger. It was a second-degree burn, and that blister went away overnight. And the next morning, he came and woke me up in bed, and he goes, Bill, my blister went away overnight. It was a second-degree burn. And I said, oh, well, good. That's good. And he said, no, you don't understand. Blisters take weeks to go away. He said, this went away overnight, whatever you did. And he was the most skeptical guy I've ever met about pranic healing. And so to have that kind of outcome in him leads me to believe that even if you're super skeptical, divine energy is omnipotent. It can still work.
Yeah, I mean, energy is energy. If the world works in a certain specific predefined set, in a certain set of ways, then it will work no matter what, it seems like. But it's interesting. People talk about the placebo effect being, 30% or more of people's ability to heal. Hey, Bill, have you ever heard of or seen that video that's on YouTube going around where there's these doctors and I think they're in China, somewhere in the East, and they're doing some kind of energetic work on a lady who has cancer, and it shows the MRI of the tumor actually shrinking. Allegedly, it shows that. Have you ever seen that video?
I have seen similar videos. I'm not sure if I've seen the specific one you're talking about, but I've seen some similar videos. Mm-hmm. And in one of the books on pranic healing, it actually addresses the Chinese healing technique called medical Qigong. Okay. And I'm not sure if that's what that is exactly, but it sounds like what you're describing, where they're actually using energy through some of their energetic generations techniques to project those energies to a person and create healing. And that does work. There is effectiveness to that. One of the things in our book that's specifically mentioned about that technique, though, is that it's the energy of the practitioner that is going to do the healing. In other words, they are using their own life energy to accomplish a healing, and it's creating depletion in that healer's body. And in pranic healing, we don't use our own energy. We simply channel divine energy that's all around us. So it doesn't deplete my body at all. It doesn't deplete my aura. I'm simply allowing energy to flow through to do the healing, not using for myself.
Ah, interesting. So you're more like a conduit, yeah.
Yes, absolutely more of a conduit. We are not, I'm not the source of this energy whatsoever. But in medical Qigong, it is very effective. However, I understand that when they're healing people, they're limited to like 2 or 3 healings per day because it drains their aura, and they don't want it to that extent.
Wild stuff.
So, Bill, after your training and you really learned all this, did your sensitivity to energy change? Like, could you walk into a room and sense where someone was at, like with their aura or some things going in without having to actually do the sweeping?
You know, to a certain extent, that has happened over time. There are people who are very intuitive, and I'm kind of envious of them because they can walk in and they can kind of take a look at you and go, oh, you have a problem here. There's people who can just pick up on that. I don't really pick up on it that well. I am becoming sensitive over time, but I'm not at that point where I think it would be really helpful. Sometimes when I walk into a room, sometimes when I walk next to somebody, all of a sudden I'll get a really bad headache. And I'll say, hey, do you have headaches? Do you have migraines? And they'll say, oh my gosh, yes, how'd you know? And I'm like, wow, well, I guess I was supposed to know because I kind of picked up on it. I do pick up on sometimes where I feel something in my body and I kind of notice, wait a minute, I didn't have that a minute ago. Who is it around me that has that? And it's funny, it blows people away. And it blows me away, too. I'm totally like surprised when it happens, but then I'm thankful because I figure, okay, thank you. Whoever told me that, thank you. I got the message. I appreciate the blessing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
That's wild. So earlier in the show, I wanted to follow up with clarification because I thought this was so interesting. When you mentioned how sometimes when you're working on someone, you said at some point you might feel a sensation in a certain area in your body. Does that mean usually that the person that you're working on knows that they have a specific illness or disease or challenge in that area already and that they're just like, oh gosh, Bill nailed it? Or are they often surprised that maybe something feels a little wacky that you kind of told them, like, hey, your kidneys seem a little off for a certain area? Is anyone usually surprised at what you have for them?
You know what? Usually it's something they already know about.
Okay.
Usually, and yes, it blows them away. One guy in the fire station a few months back, we were working on his shoulder, but he didn't tell me about his hip. And as I passed my hand over his hip, my hand got really sore. And I said, boy, you have a problem with your hip? And his jaw almost hit the floor. He was so surprised that I picked up on that. So people, they're like, oh my gosh, that's been bothering me. How'd you know? And I was like, well, I guess I was supposed to figure it out. But occasionally, here's the other thing, some people, for example, on their lumbar spine, the energy center that controls your blood pressure is located in your lumbar spine. So as I'm moving my hand down and all of a sudden, it may not be back pain. My first question will be, do you have any pain in your back? And they might say no. And I say, okay, well, this energy center is very congested. Do you have high blood pressure? And then they may say, well, either they know they have high blood pressure or they don't know, but then they go get checked and it finds out that they find out that they are hypertensive. Well, in medicine, there's really no cure for hypertension as far as I know. They give you medications, and the medications are usually set for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. In Pranic Healing, if we can fix that energy center and regulate your adrenal glands and bring your blood pressure back to normal, you're set. It may not be back pain, but it may be congestion on that one chakra that manifests as hypertension. I love doing hypertension healings because people are getting better and they can stop taking their medicines. I always say, talk with your doctor, make sure your doctor is okay coming off your medicines. And a lot of times they get better, and it's better for their body now. They don't have to take medicines that they don't need. And I'm not opposed to medicines because I know medicines can do some really good things, and I've seen it happen. But I think take the medicines that you need, and if you don't need it, even better.
Wow.
Do you think pranic healing is better for conditions that are, let's say, acute sports-like injuries, maybe accidents or things like that, bone breaks? Or does it work just as well for chronic degenerative diseases, cancer, diabetes, and those types of things?
Yes, it works equally well. Okay. Now, the thing is, those long-term systemic illnesses like cancer, diabetes, epilepsy, stroke, for example, that's probably going to be a series of healings. Those involve more of the body systems, more energy centers, and usually there's more congestion that needs to be removed over a series of healings. So it stands to reason that those healings may take a little longer. Musculoskeletal healings, those are so much fun because a lot of times if a person's in reasonably good health to begin with, maybe someone's got a sprained ankle or a pulled ligament or something, one session, a lot of times, I've seen so many times, one session completely fixes that. Now, obviously a fracture, like a fractured bone, if you've got a bone sticking through your skin, I don't care how great of a healer you are, you're going to need a doctor to put that back in and set that in position. But that's why pranic healing works with medicine, not opposed to medicine, because we'll say, okay, go to the doctor, get your bone set, Now we're going to do healing on that spot, and we're just going to accelerate your healing rate. And with most people I work with, I've just seen it so many times. People will come in with like a splint on, and they have swelling, and they may have discoloration. And after we do healing, they can say, wow, the swelling went away. Let me take off the splint and see if I can move it. And they start gently moving whatever joint that is. And a lot of times they're like, well, it feels like it never happened.
Wow.
And I think, okay, well, that's cool. Musculoskeletal healing is you get immediate gratification because you can validate that so quickly.
So you use that with your, like we talked a little bit about your wife's second pregnancy, and that went very well. I don't think we touched on how that turned out, but that turned out really well, didn't it?
It turned out really well, and especially, not only did it make her feel better through the pregnancy, but when it came time for her delivery, our first child was born by cesarean, and the doctor cited all the reasons why the first baby was cesarean, and said, your second baby is going to need to be C-section. It's a bigger baby, failure to progress, didn't dilate, all these other factors. Mm-hmm. And we said, well, let's just give it a try. Let's give it a try to deliver naturally and see what happens. And if it doesn't happen, we'll go to C-section. That's always our backup plan. Mm-hmm. And so the whole time while she was in labor, I was doing the healing, and I had, I was very new to pranic healing at the time, so I was still very, very, an infant as a pranic healer. And once she finally dilated, within half hour, the baby delivered natural delivery, which defied all the doctor's, probability based on the size of the second baby and all the other reasons that they look at. And I just said, thank you, God. What an amazing blessing to have that happen.
Wow, because we know, the medical people typically say that if you have a C-section on one baby, then any other babies after that, you have to have that, right? That's typically the way they think?
That for many years, that was gospel in the medical field. And now they're kind of getting away from that. Now I think medicine is even opening its mind and saying, well, not always. Maybe, a VBAC, is a vaginal birth after C-section, is a possibility for some patients. And so they're kind of opening. Now I understand the logic behind it. The logic was if they cut through the uterus one time, there's an incision that may reopen in delivery. Mm-hmm. So the safer move for many years was always considered, we'll just do the C-section every time. But I think even medicine started realizing that's not always the case. And so, we were fortunate to have a doctor that was open to the idea of giving it a try, and sure enough, no problems, no complications at all.
Wow.
Well, that's a testament. Hey, Bill, we have a question from Marissa in the chat room. She said, can we have our guest describe a healing journey using this method of energy healing with something like type 2 diabetes? What does that look like?
Okay, so I'm really glad you asked that with an illness like type 2 diabetes. According to medicine, once your pancreas stops working, you're kind of done, and the only way they can regulate your blood sugar is through medicines that try to either substitute glucagon as a pancreatic hormone. But in pranic healing, we say, okay, what's the energy center that corresponds to the pancreas? Well, it would be the solar plexus chakra. And as a medic, I understand the anatomy and physiology that, the solar plexus is located right in front of the pancreas. So if that energy center is congested, it may malfunction as pancreatic malfunction and diabetes. What we'll do is I'll go ahead and first clean the solar plexus. We'll work on the different energetic factors that cause the solar plexus to become congested. Most people, that's emotional problems like stress, anxieties, fears, worries. All the negative emotional energies that store in our solar plexus that can malfunction the pancreas. Once we clean that out, I'll say, okay, let's watch your blood sugar. Let's see what happens. If we can clean out that energy center and then gently energize so that your pancreas can repair itself and restore itself to its original divine perfection, then that may cause those endocrine hormones to be released properly again, which can be bringing your blood sugar back to normal. The same way that fixing your adrenal glands brings your hypertension back to normal, cleaning out the solar plexus chakra, and I don't know what's going to happen. All I can do is I invoke for blessings, and I do the healing as I understand it, and then see what your body does. So if your body is able to manifest healing in your pancreas and you can regulate your blood sugar, you're good.
That's so fascinating. So, Bill, just a little bit, I just want to go back to the point where you talked about the photons of the body coming out and being perpendicular to the skin. Can you explain that again? What happens? There's little energetic photons that get emitted from the body through the skin. Is that what happens?
Yes. What they say is it's little rays of light, which are called the health rays. And that actually makes perfect sense. If you think about it, our skin is not impermeable. Our skin is a semi-permeable membrane. Different substances can go through our skin into the body, and substances can come out of our body through the skin. So in Pranic Healing, they say all those pores on your skin that invisibly to a clairvoyant may be able to see rays of light coming out. And they are just little rays of light energy. Just the same way that we breathe energy, we breathe air in and we breathe air out, and we take food and water into our body and we send food and water out of our body, energy is constantly coming into our body and going out. So energy is flowing in through certain energy centers constantly into our body, and then energy is flowing out through energy centers and out through the health rays. And it's kind of just one of those natural energetic flows. A person with a very bright aura, with a very bright, healthy energy field, will have bright, healthy energy, rays coming out, and they may be to a greater diameter. But if a person has very low energy or low vitality because their energy centers are clogged, you may have weaker light. They may be sagging. The light rays would look like maybe you can picture a wilted plant just kind of sagging. So as we do straightening the health rays, we're just forming the intention that those are being combed or straightened or cleansed so that those rays pick up, the energy flows more freely, and then as we clean the energy centers, you should be able to improve the aura's flow and just see brighter light shining through those pores.
That's wild.
So the whole practice is really based off of the chakra system. So if people, were you open to that idea before you heard about Pranic Healing? Did you believe we had a chakra system, or was that something all new to you?
No, it was all new to me. I think I heard the word chakra before, and I got to say that, no, I wasn't really open to that. I was a new paramedic, fresh out of paramedic school, and everything I understood about the body was everything I learned in paramedic school. Yeah, the whole idea of energy centers and chakras. I've heard of acupuncture, and I heard people say it worked, but I was still, even on that, I wasn't really open to that idea to begin with.
It's funny. I look back, and because you said that you were Catholic, and it's interesting to me about that story in the Bible where it talks about how the people wanted to grab on to Jesus' cloak for healing because they thought that if they could just touch it, that they would be healed. I wonder if something was going on there that we'll never know.
Actually, that story is mentioned in Pranic Healing. They do say absolutely Jesus was probably the most fantastic healer that this world has seen in thousands of years, and that his energy was so strong. They say whether they needed to touch his cloak is debatable. Mm-hmm. Lord Jesus' energy was so strong they didn't even have to get together with him. They could have been healed. But in their own receptivity, they felt the need to touch him in order to receive healing. And as soon as they touched him, he felt it. They said that when she touched his cloak, he felt the energy leaving his body and healing. And that's why in the question he said, "Who touched me?" And his apostle said, "Well, there's thousands of people cramming around. Well, what do you mean?" And he said, "No, somebody touched me." And that I think is the woman that was bleeding that experienced healing. It was her faith, her receptivity to his divine energies that caused that immediate healing. And they said, yes, it's a very, very, I guess whether he needed to understand the science behind it, I think he was just so advanced and so powerful. Lord Jesus, it just came naturally to him. But yes, a lot of this is based off his the writings. And all the different religious traditions have similar stories of divine energy, with different parables.
Yeah, it's fascinating because it's funny, Kate and I talk about this all the time, is that, it's really weird when you just get into these two different seemingly opposing worldviews or different ideas, East and West, but a lot of them share the same teachings, but they just have different ways of using words to describe the same kind of things. Some people might call it pranic healing or chi, but then some people might call the same an application of that same story in the Bible where Jesus heals people like that. It's interesting how all this stuff sort of bleeds together in that respect.
Yes. And if I can take just 1 minute to go back to something I didn't get to cover well earlier, and it kind of goes along with what you just mentioned.
Absolutely.
We talked about the Living Temple and Robin's shop, the Living Temple, where I did the Introduction to Pranic Healing classes. Mm-hmm. He does one of the best jobs, I think, of taking all these different traditions and all these different, these different healing experiences, and not just in healing arts, but in food and wellness and holistic wellness. And I got to hand it to him. If you go into a store and you're looking for something healthy, sometimes you don't know what's good and what's not good. Robin spends his entire life researching all these different products and making sure that nothing appears on his shelf until it's tried and true as far as very, very good and healthy and well. And so he has a store in Huntington Beach where we've been doing our Pranic Healing clinics. And whenever I want to go get something, I can go there, and I know whatever I buy it's going to be good. The Living Temple is just a fantastic place, and I'm thankful for all the classes he's let me hold in his store. He does all kinds of classes, and so I've met so many people from so many different religious traditions, people from all over the world, all different shapes, sizes, and colors, and everybody has their own background, and it's funny, there's universal truth to all of that.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Robin's a great guy. We've spent some time with him, and that's just so cool. So you go? Do you still do classes there, or?
We're working to continue our classes there. I was doing classes in his Living Temple store on the first Wednesday of every month, and I ended up having a conflict in schedule because I just took over as Scoutmaster for my son's Boy Scout troop, so I couldn't do Wednesdays any longer. And so we're working on trying to find another night that we can do these classes at his shop. In the meantime, in my office now, since I moved into an office that's large enough to allow me to do Pranic Healing classes, it's in Huntington Beach. We're still doing it on a schedule. We're trying to find a specific night of the week that we're going to make routine. But we are going to continue doing free healing clinics and introduction to Pranic Healing classes in Huntington Beach. That's definitely going to be upcoming soon. We're going to finalize the schedule for that.
Wow. And so you can teach people how to become a practitioner, or is that done somewhere else?
A little of both. My personal training is to do introduction to Pranic Healing. So I can do an intro class where we're taking people who are interested in Pranic Healing and just kind of giving a little bit of an introduction to what it's all about. I'm not qualified yet to be an instructor to teach how to do Pranic Healing, but we do have a fantastic instructor named Kathy Poole. She teaches in Orange County, and she's actually using my office to do the Pranic Healing class.
What is her name again? I'm sorry, what is her name?
Her name is Kathy Poole. The last name is like a swimming pool, Pool, and she's been teaching for many years in Orange County. She normally has been teaching in South County. I think she had a place in Lake Forest where she was teaching, and that venue finally had some schedule conflicts, so she was looking for a place, and it just worked out perfectly that my office was available. So in Huntington Beach, she's able to continue her Pranic Healing classes there and actually teach Level 1 Pranic Healing.
Oh, that is so great. Wow. Wow, so you're getting more and more busy with your own practice.
That's exactly the case. That's exactly what's been happening. I've been getting very busy doing lots of healings, and I love it. I love doing healings. I love working as a paramedic because I can see people get better temporarily, but as I do healings, I get to know people and I get to work with them through the process. And I think Marissa asked earlier about the type 2 diabetic process. That may be something that we're going to have to work with for a few sessions, and it's fun. I get to meet people, I get to know people, and I get to watch them move through a healing process and actually watch their life improve. And the best part to me, a diabetic might come in for a diabetic healing, but as we move through the healing, we find out that there's other parts of their lives that are getting better too. Their relationships are getting better. Their finances are getting better. Their overall stress level is going down. And I'm getting to watch people improve in all parts of their life. And that to me is a great thing. And then when it works for them, they go to all their friends and family and say, hey, this really worked for me. You got to go get healing and get your life in order. And it's just amazing, an amazing blessing.
And now you're known as the Pranic Healer guy around the place where you do work. And so there's a little bit of conflict of interest there a little bit, do you think, or no?
Well, you know what? I don't see any conflict of interest at all. I see when somebody needs when somebody needs medicine, when somebody needs a doctor, even in the Pranic Healing book, it says, go to a doctor and go get your medicine. As a paramedic, there's always a need for emergency rescue. And even, Master Ko, who's the United States instructor, asked me to do a CPR class and a first aid class at the Pranic Healing Center. Because he said if somebody's got an injury, they need to know how to handle an injury, and then we'll do Pranic Healing. So there's an absolute cooperation between the two. It's a very collaborative effort. And not only that, I see, how many thousands and millions of people are there around here. We need more Pranic Healers. We need more people that are willing to do this work. And, just like we need more doctors, like there's a need for more doctors, there's a need for more healthcare workers, there's also a need for more energy workers that are going to be able to work together and take care of the masses of humanity that we have around that really need to be healed.
I agree. Do you think there's any, how should I put this? Do you think that the traditional medical paradigm will ever include something and open up to pranic healing?
I think at some point, first of all, I think at some point it is beginning. It is beginning to open. In fact, I mentioned Master Ko is the United States instructor. He wrote a book and co-authored a book with a medical doctor. The doctor's name is Dr. Eric Robbins. He's a doctor out of Kaiser Hospital in Harbor City. He is a doctor who actually began incorporating pranic healing in his practice. When he had patients that weren't getting better with traditional medicine, he asked if they would be open to try some energy work, and he actually did do some energy healing that became effective. And he's featured in some of the news features on the pranichealing.com website. They actually have the video clips that show him introducing this as it's used in the hospital. And they even show that in the Kaiser Hospital, other doctors that saw him as a quack, when they started realizing how effective it was, they started sending him their difficult cases, and he would heal them too. So here's a medical doctor that began incorporating pranic healing into his practice, and I understand that many doctors and many nurses have been taught pranic healing in order to use it in addition to their medical practice.
That's
well,
really
that's
cool.
encouraging.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It is a shift that is taking place. It is slowly happening, and I know there's a lot of forces at work in the medical community that would probably not want it to happen, but I understand that there's divine perfection, and eventually what's right is what's going to happen.
I love that. Yeah, Kate and I talk all the time about how it's interesting if you go into a hospital with a chronic degenerative disease, you're really only limiting yourself to really just 3 or 4 different healing modalities. But it's fascinating when we talk to people who do reiki, pranic healing, and nutritional work, and cleansing, and chelation therapy, and all kinds of just amazing different tools that there are out there. Even though they're not tied together yet with the medical paradigm, it's just cool to know that there are people like you out there doing your kind of work.
I am blessed to be a part of the process. I consider myself blessed every day that I'm able to do this, and I understand that, yes, there is a shift happening, and there are so many things out there. We might not understand them all yet, but there really is a lot out there that is effective and it's safe. And I think that when you open your mind a little bit to see what else is out there, you realize, yes, there's a lot that medicine still has to catch up to.
I love it. I love it.
Wow.
Well, Bill, thanks for your work and your time, and people can find out more about you on pranamedics.com. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. I have some information on there. I'm still working on building the website. It's definitely this is new territory to me, but a lot of people said, hey, you got to get a website. So I'm putting something together that kind of talks about pranic healing and the services I provide. I am more than happy to work on doing healings for anybody, and to me there are millions of souls around here that really need healing, so I can only do so much. And anybody that I do healing with, after we've done a few sessions, I encourage them, learn how to do pranic healing, learn how to heal yourself, learn how to heal your family, because we need more of us here. So even though that may be against my own self-interest, the bottom line is we need more healers, and I would rather have people improve their quality of life by learning how to do it for themselves.
I love that. That's such a great way to think about it, because there's more than enough to go around. There's 6 billion people on the planet, right? So
yeah. I can't handle all 6 billion by myself.
You can't?
Master Chua Kok Sui's goal was 1 pranic healer in every family.
That would be really cool. So if people go on your website, pranamedics.com, they can go on your contact page if they're interested in contacting you about a session or learning more. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
I'm more than happy to talk with anybody and see if I can introduce them to this wonderful, fantastic world of energy healing.
That's so great. And you also have an email list as well, right?
Yes, I do. In fact, once a month I put out a little online newsletter that kind of talks about what's going on in the nation, in the area, what's going on in the area as far as pranic healing events, if we're having meditation nights or healing clinics, and some stories that make it fun to show about what our experiences have been recently with pranic healing. And if anybody would like to send me their email, I'd be happy to add them to my contact list, and they can get that. It's a once a month. I try not to load your inbox with a whole bunch of extra stuff, but just something that kind of lets you know pranic healing is alive and well in Orange County here.
I love it.
Nice.
I love it. That's so great. All right. Thanks so much, Bill, for being with us today. This is pranamedics.com if you're interested. Hold the line, Bill. We're going to close out our live show here. I want to thank everyone for joining us on the live show. This is episode 273. and with Bill Hencke from pranamedics.com. And I just want to thank all you guys for being in the chat room. It makes it so much more fun seeing how everyone's talking together. It's so cool to be a part of all this.
I love it. Thanks, everybody. That was amazing.
Yeah. We feel like, Bill, we're just a conduit, right?
I know, right?
Just bringing this information out, right?
And that's what he does well.
That's right. So I want to thank all you guys for being on the chat room and just being a part of everything we have going on. It's just really, really an honor to be here with you guys. So thank you so much for being on the live show in the chat room. Feel free to pass the show on to your friends or to anybody that you feel like might use this information. We appreciate that, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Okay, awesome.
Awesome.
Right.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, thanks a lot. You guys have a great day then, and we'll be keeping in touch.
Awesome.
Great.
Sounds great.
You too.
All right, take care. And thanks for working with my technical difficulty, too. I appreciate that.
No worries. No,
Worked
it's all
out great.
good. Worked out great.
All right.
Thanks,
See you
Bill.
later. All right, bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So, Mr. Bill Hencke on Pranic Healing. Pretty interesting stuff, right?
Really interesting. You know, it's funny.
Your eyes are lit up there,
I
Baby
know, because I'm dying to go try it.
Are you?
Yeah.
I am too.
It's cool when he talked about like he would have envisioned himself 15 years ago doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he said that off the air after the show, I'm not sure. But, you know, a year ago, I couldn't envision myself even being open to something like this or knowing about this kind of a
Oh,
thing.
yeah, I know.
I mean, maybe a year ago, but it's been quite a year for me to just go, yeah, like I'll jump in, I'll try anything, I will. You know, at least in the last 2 years, I've tried so many things, and this just seems like something that makes sense to me. And my body jumped out. Like when he started explaining it, I really resonated with it. And like you said, my eyes just lit up. I felt like I have to go do this.
So were you skeptical a year ago of all this stuff, or was it not necessarily skepticism? It was just, oh, that can't be true, and you don't really look into it, but it's just kind of a disregard of.
You know, I feel like it's like that question I asked him about, can you experience or understand pranic healing without the chakra system? It's like, no, that's what the whole thing is based on.
Oh, yeah.
And I wouldn't, you know, the whole chakra system to me, I thought it was a bunch of bunk 2 years ago. I'd say within the last 2 years, I've been actually more open to kind of journeying down that road to understand what it is and see if I can really develop my own belief system around it.
Yeah, because in our circle of friends, it's funny, a lot of people make fun of the chakra
Sure.
systems, you know. But.
Well, yeah, because it does seem, you know, quote, new age or, you know, growing up in a Christian circle, it is hard for people to even hear those words and not think that you're, you know, playing with the devil.
Gone off the deep end or something.
Something weird. But, you know, I just think there's so much more that I always say this, there's just so much more going on than we understand. And so many books I read, and especially Ina Segal's The Secret of Life Wellness.
Oh, yeah,
There just seems to be so much that I still don't understand and know how it all works, but there's something going on there, whether you call it your chakra system, whether you call it
Chi or
energy, you know, I just think God created such a bigger picture, and it's a really fascinating journey for me to go down.
I think it's interesting, too, because you have all this type of energy work and energy healing that's been going on for thousands of years.
Yeah.
But then also, in recent years, the new discoveries of quantum physics and stuff, and quantum mechanics and string theory and all this the science that's going on. It's really fascinating, that all the stuff that's happening. And I think that the universe just works in a way that we never thought possible. Energy work and healing and the chakra systems. Like, if you listen to that show that we did with Dr. Bob Marshall that we referenced earlier, it was really a bad connection that we had with him, unfortunately, so we want to get him on again. But he is just an amazing guy, and he talked about the biophotonic energy field, the plasma energy field that surrounds the body, and that's what he was talking about, Bill. And it's this plasma energy field that really determines how healthy we are, and that plasma energy field communicates at faster than light speed to the DNA of our body. And so that's why he talks about, Dr. Bob Marshall, he'll talk about how he only recommends supplements that that have DNA in them, that are once derived from a living source. Because it's this DNA photonic transfer of light that transfers from your body to this plasma energy field that surrounds your body. And that's what determines your level of health and whether or not you heal from disease or whether or not you heal quickly or slowly or all of that stuff. There's this, almost like this orb of this plasma energy field. And according to Dr. Marshall, they've measured it and they've worked with it. And it's not theory. This is fact.
Wow.
And this is kind of similar to what Bill was talking about. And I'm sure Ina Segal talks about. And I'm sure that there's parts of that plasma energy field that corresponds to our chakras.
Well, it was like we had...
This is so strange.
Yeah, well, we had Tom from Tom Stones on, last week. And my gosh, I mean, he was talking about how many... The stones, when he was talking about the healing stones, don't have to be right on your body. They can be 18 inches around your whole... So obviously there's something about this radiating field, or like Bill was saying today about, being a Catholic and growing up seeing these paintings of Mother Mary, or, the Virgin Mary, and there's always this like aura of like, I always thought, going to Italy and Europe and watching all these amazing old classic paintings, I just thought they were picturing, painting Mary in the light of being holy. With that, those rays coming out of her and this aura. But maybe, I mean, like you said at the break, maybe the truth is in plain sight. Maybe, the hidden is actually in plain sight. Maybe that's what those were depicting. More of an aura sense around you and your shield, your little space around you.
Yeah.
That's your own energy field. I mean, there seems to be some truth to that.
That's why I like the Qigong that we promote and the healing stones that Tom Benedict was on about. And, that's why I love that stuff, because it's a subtle way to bring in energy to the body. Even pranic healing. I mean, it's just, there's so many things going on that I think that, if the earth still exists in 500 years from now, we're going to know so much. We're going to look back on this time and think how archaic and how much we're living like cavemen, how we didn't understand certain things. Sort of like how, how you look back and you see magazine ads with doctors saying that we promote Camels. They're the best, they're the healthiest cigarette for you.
Right.
And I think
they're good for your health.
Yeah, people are going to look back at this time and think, what a bunch of idiots.
I know. Pulling out organs and radiating your body.
Yeah, what fools. I mean, and so
I know.
I think that I think with all this energetic work, I think there's a lot of truth to it, and I think it's pretty similar to just knowing something exists, but we can't see what it is yet. Kind of thing, because we don't have any real scientific means of studying this stuff. And
I wonder if there will be a way to prove it in the future, if there is going to be some aspect of just having a faith journey around this whole idea of that it exists. I mean, because we can prove outcomes that it exists, but you're right, the actual scientific. The closest book though I've read to understand this a little bit is Mind Over Medicine.
Oh, by Lisa
Rankin.
Yeah.
Yeah, she goes down the scientific road more than I've ever seen before. And I mean, even though she doesn't have all the answers, she's an MD and actually like explores a little bit more of that side of things. But I mean, it's just a small little tiny glimpse of what is to come. Yeah, I hope we do understand more, scientifically as time goes on.
Yeah, that would be.
But if we don't, I do think that we're going to see just some pretty intense things happening.
It's weird stuff. We have a zapper sitting here. We have a little energy ring. We have our crystals.
We have our dog.
Looking around at the desk here in the studio of all the different things we have sitting here.
Maggie must wonder, what are all these things?
What we should do is put the pyramid over the desk and get a pyramid and
I was
put one
say,
over.
What pyramid?
Put one over the bed and one over the desk.
We should.
That'd be pretty interesting.
The one that we saw at the Living Temple was the most giant pyramid. We've talked about this before. It was like
4 feet high.
4 feet tall, and you climb under it like a teepee, and you hang out under it. And that was pretty cool.
Should put some crystals on that thing. I bet you could soup up a pyramid, put some crystals on top of it on the base.
It should be a show, Pimp My Pyramid. Instead of Pimp My Ride.
Pimp My Pyramid. Because everyone has a pyramid.
Right. See how creative you can actually get with these things.
The other day I was walking to the gym and I saw on someone's dashboard of their minivan that was trash. There was just complete trash everywhere inside the minivan, but they had all these pyramids on the dashboard.
Really? No.
Not wild.
Huh.
Maybe, I don't know.
Huh.
It was weird. So, of all things, a pyramid sitting on it. But there was like 4 of them.
Maybe the pyramid you'd hope that they draw a little more cleanliness to the car.
I know, right?
Give you a sense of wanting to live in a more beautiful surrounding.
Yeah,
that's interesting, though. I've seen something. You know what? It was funny when I was taking a trip to Phoenix last March with Bo Wong, my partner from Empower Women's Channel.
Oh, yeah.
We bought a bunch of stones. Our goal was to gather all these stones at different little not rest stops, but funky little, mom and pop places along the drive in the middle of the desert, because she's all about stones, and I found it really interesting. But we charged them on. She lined them all up on the dashboard of the car, and she wanted to charge them in the sunlight. And it was so funny. I thought people driving by must think we're these like hippie weirdos with like all these different, cuts and sizes of these stones, all different colors.
They think you're crazy.
It was so funny. I thought, I have become that person. I've become that crazy health food fanatic from the 70s that,
drinking carrot juice.
Yeah, and your pee. I mean, who knew?
That's so funny.
But I wouldn't change it. I love it. But it's just funny to look back on, again, the things you wouldn't think 15 years ago that you'd even be interested in.
Yeah, I know. I think that as you get healthier, your mind opens up somehow. I think there's some sort of, if you continue down the path of cleaning out and doing detoxification and cleansing, I think eventually your brain starts to work better. It starts to optimize itself and open itself to new ideas and new concepts, and then you start going down each path, and you start being open to different types of healing. It's like David Wolf talked about. He said that in the 70s, he said you turn on the TV and you have like 5 channels, right?
Yeah.
You have like CBS, NBC, whatever. And then now you turn on the TV and you have 300 channels. And so that's kind of where we are. It's now with health and healing, the internet and all these things, we have access to all information. People like Bill doing pranic healing, reiki healing, all kinds of different things.
Right.
And so now we have options. Now we have options for healing that we never had before.
Ain't that the truth?
It's cool, yeah.
I think the thing that fascinates me too is that he was talking about the type 2 diabetes situation with the treatment for that.
Oh, yeah.
And what that looks like when he deals with people with pretty chronic diseases. I like how he really went down the road of the energy, the emotional aspect of what these diseases could be. I mean, because you could cleanse up the yin yang, I'm realizing, and you could cut out everything of your diet. You could drink water for 50 days. You could do all these insane things. Like every treatment known to man and still not get better. And that's where I feel like that aspect of the emotional part is missing for most people's healing journeys. And that's what I think is so neat about this kind of energy work. It addresses the physical through the emotional, I'd say. Like, let's get to the root first of maybe, why your pancreas is reacting and acting the way it is, and then we'll go, from there, and the physical will start falling into place. And I feel like that's what's happening in my own life.
The physical is the last part of the equation that gets better.
I feel like that. And we often, all of us usually think it's the first thing, especially just, the average person walking along who doesn't know anything about this journey inward.
Right.
But gosh, I really am starting to believe personally it's the last thing. It's everything goes on in here, and the last thing we're seeing, which is what we think is the first thing when something's wrong, is the physical symptom of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that all disease and all that stuff it's all energetic, it's all emotions, it's all past.
I think so.
Family stuff and stuff that's carried down the family line and through your DNA and through your genes. And I think that stuff just permeates everything. And when you can heal on an emotional, psychic, I don't know whether spiritual level, whatever level you call those things, and then I think eventually the body catches up with that. And I think that's the body's expressing some sort of dis-ease because of some pre-existing condition that's in your aura, energy field, emotions, whatever your
term for it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really do believe that. I believe before you get some funky blood work or a diagnosis of some disease, there was stuff brewing for years and years and years. Yeah. And I happen to think, so much of it is just emotional.
We have a lot of cool stuff on this side about it, don't we? We've got family constellation therapy, Gestalt therapy with Dr. Massey. We've got Rolfing.
Oh, that's right.
We've got Reiki healing. We talked to a Reiki practitioner, didn't we?
Yep. Reiki.
And lots of other things. That's why we love the Qigong course. It's all dispersing qi and bringing qi and energy into the body. It's just awesome stuff. I think you have to bring that stuff in. You have to, if you want to be vibrant, if you want to have energy and life force.
I mean, isn't that
you have to.
It was so intriguing to me and so true when he talked about people's energy in this basically that anytime you touch someone, you're taking on their energetic. I mean, and you think, I mean, I resonated with that so highly, thinking, gosh, 15 years of touching people in my chair at the salon. It's just like, ugh. Like, I feel like that's why I really want to go see Bill to kind of just clean out my whole system and start over, because I feel so depleted so much of the time. And
I know.
I feel like that blocks me so much from the true healing that I'm on the journey for. And
well,
I'm halfway there, and I feel like there's something there still that needs to be taken care of.
I think that for you also, not just touching people, but being in their field.
Sure.
However their field is, however large their field is, you're bringing, or they're bringing your energetics, and as an empath, you're just sucking in all of their negative energy. And so it's almost like, I mean, like we talk about it all the time. I mean, there's no difference between that, in my mind, than just going out and eating McDonald's. You're still bringing in horrible energies into your system.
Right.
Being around soul-sucking people.
Energy vampires, they call them.
Energy vampires, drama, unnecessary drama. Anyone that's not happy, that's uplifting, and all these different things that are going to be good for you. Anyone who's not those things, if you can have the choice of being around those people or not, don't be around those people.
Yeah.
Because they're going to just deplete you.
Remember when I used to joke coming home from work, I'd be like, you're like, how was your 12-hour day? I'd come home and be like, oh, I just need like an IV in my arms, like just stick something in me and like juice me up again, because literally it felt like my chi, if you want to call it, had been sucked out of my soul. And I felt like this like limp noodle person. And it took me like a couple of days to recover from a 12-hour day of work.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But the thing is, I love that like practices like Qigong and things like this pranic healing. I mean, that gives hope, because it's like, okay, even if I'm that limp noodle person with nothing left, you can, the good news is you can restore some, if not all of this energy again and get your life force back, because I'm feeling the most vibrant I have felt in years, and I'm still working just as hard one day a week, still around difficult people, energy suckers, and somehow my body's processing this different, and I'm able to sort of set up that barrier around me, like he's talking about, that he has to do too. I mean, it's not caring, it's self-preservation in order to help others. The whole put on your own oxygen mask and then help your people around you. Yeah,
exactly.
So.
No, I agree. I think that's so important. Wow, so that was a really cool show. Episode...
He is wonderful. 273.
273. So we're going to put links to everything we talked about on this show page, episode 273. Don't forget to check out our sponsor, Nutrex, for this show. Incredible stuff. ExtremeHealthRadio.com/Nutrex. We just are so in love with their products. They're just so
They're
pure.
spirulina. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I wouldn't go out in the sun without their astaxanthin.
We pop a couple of those a day now, especially during summertime. Whew, it's
Great
like our go-to guard, I'd say.
It's just incredible. And then the Qigong course, we obviously are huge fans of, as well as the Yoga Trapeze, and then the Less EMF products from lessemf.com. If you go to our page here, episode 273, you can check out all those links to ways to protect yourself from electromagnetic fields and that type of thing. So they have all kinds of different meters and things you can get to test to see how much exposure you're being exposed to. So all kinds of good stuff on lessemf.com, and we put a link to that on this show page, episode 273. And we broadcast live 4 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So if you would like to join us on the next show and are able to enter the chat room and be a part of it all, we'd love to have you part of that. And if not, you can just tell your friends about any of the shows. You can share the links on Facebook and all that good stuff, right?
Yes, sir.
Time for me to go pee. I drank about a gallon of water already today. And
good for you. Your kidneys are loving you, but your bladder ain't.
So I want to thank all you guys for joining us on this episode, and
we will catch you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to this episode.
It's time to go for now, but our mission does not end with this show.
Justin and Kate will be back with another interview packed full of ideas, discoveries, and unique ways to regain your health.
Head on over to extremehealthradio.com/subscribe and instantly download our free gift too that contains cutting-edge strategies to start making healthy lifestyle changes today.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even if you educate yourself in the field of live food, nutrition, and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis of any disease.